Brock Lesnar and Sable's love story is one of WWE's most unexpected romances. From their first meeting to marriage, they've built a lasting bond despite challenges. In this video, we'll break down how they met, their relationship journey, and life beyond WWE. Let's dive in. When Sable, real name Rena Marlette, first arrived in WWE, it was in 1996 on the arm of Triple H at WrestleMania 12. That very same night, her real-life husband, Marc Mero, debuted too. The two had been married for 3 years, but he was actually her second husband, having first been married to a man named Wayne Richardson from 1987 until his death in 1991. She had a daughter named Mariah with Richardson as well. In WWE, as Sable, she became one of the biggest stars in WWE as the Attitude Era became highly sexualized and treated women like eye candy. For a time, Sable was paired with Marc Mero, but as her star power grew, she was put on her own. During this time, Sable became the WWE Women's Champion and a Playboy cover model, but in 1999, having had enough of the backstage drama in WWE, she quit and filed a $110 sexual harassment lawsuit against WWE. She eventually returned in 2003 to SmackDown, where a guy named Brock Lesnar was ruling the blue brand. Although still married to Marc Mero, Sable and Lesnar began having an affair. This led to the end of Sable and Mero's 10-year marriage as she and Brock became a couple. Brock Lesnar left WWE after WrestleMania 20 in 2004, but Sable stayed on for a few more months until her new beau asked her to quit. In his book, Death Clutch, he wrote, "I hated it when Rena was on the road. There is a lot of testosterone in the business, and I was worried about what some jackass might do or say to her." Brock Lesnar and Sable were now both out of WWE. With Brock a few years away from going to the UFC, he wrestled some in NJPW with Sable at his side and tried out for the Minnesota Vikings, making the team for a short time before being cut. Although their time in the spotlight had decreased, Sable and Lesnar remained together. In his autobiography, Lesnar wrote that the couple did take a break at one point because he pushed things too far and Rena decided that she'd had enough of my bullshit. Sable left and moved to Florida and shut Lesnar out of her life. Not one to let the love of his life go so easily, Lesnar bought an engagement ring, flew to Florida, and showed up at Sable's doorstep. The only problem was that she wasn't home, so Brock broke in through the back door and waited for Sable to come home. As the hours passed, he finally called her. Lesnar wrote, "She answered the phone, and me just being me, I just said, 'Hey, how are you doing?' Rena was pissed. 'Brock, where are you calling me from?' Of course, I was going for broke here, so I said, 'Don't you recognize the number?' She couldn't believe it. 'You better not be at my house.' I told her, 'Well, I'm here, and I'll be here when you come home, because I'm waiting for you.' Despite how crazy the plan was, it worked. The pair got back together and spent the week with each other. As Lesnar was leaving for the airport, he proposed and Sable said yes. Although their engagement was temporarily called off, they got back together again and were married on May 6, 2006. Just like Sable, Brock Lesnar has a family from a previous relationship, a twin son and daughter, Maya Lynn and Luke, who were born in 2002 with his fiancée at the time, Nicole McLean. However, Brock and Sable would have a family of their own as well. Their first son, Turk, was born in 2009, followed by a second boy, Duke, the following year. Over the years, Sable, despite once being so famous, has stayed out of the limelight. You'd see her with Brock sometimes at his UFC fights, but that was it. She was never with him at all during the years after he returned to WWE and never mentioned as his wife. With Lesnar being a very private person, it's obvious that he chose to keep his life with Sable separate from his WWE career due to his name being mentioned in the Vince McMahon scandal. Brock Lesnar hasn't been seen in WWE since SummerSlam 2023. He too now keeps a low profile and is only ever seen in rare photos when he's out and about. Such was the case on December 9, 2024, when Lesnar posed for a photo backstage at a Michelle Wright concert in Regina. This time, his arm was around Sable. Wrestling fans were shocked to see the former blonde bombshell for the first time in years, now in her late 50s and sporting dark hair. This year, Brock Lesnar and Sable celebrated 18 years of marriage together.